Early morning, there were two men laying on each side of women. They are both good men, little and big ones. It was little uncomfortable for you to sleep between them. Like they hugged you and Rovon even puts his legs on you. It was little inconvenient, but the feeling was good. Leaving them, you quietly got off the bed and went to fresh up. Little man obviously feel the movement and roll over the bed. Knocking Big Ben with his little leg, Jungkook let out a muffled groan a little with his deep, raspy voice. His eyes fluttered and slowly opened to see little guy on his side. His little leg was around his waist and tiny hand landed on his neck. Jungkook removed his son's hand around and moved his hand to took his son in his embrace and caressed his tiny head and kissed on his forehead. He smiled, "You are mine." How silly he was to think that this little guy was your ex-husband's. Clearly, it's his from the start. He really wanted to slap himself for ridiculing himself. The slight itch was clearly transmitted to his heart and looked at the little guy in front of him, rubbing his tiny head against his palm, caressing it soft. This little guy is his, and no one can understand his feeling now, how happy he is. How happy that woman made his life. It's just that his child is still unwilling to acknowledge him. Maybe the world of adults are different from world of children, and he can easily coax a child and make it up budge. When children will be grow and became young, this sentence will be little difficult to say. Child's mind work how the adults treat them, and it will be easier to get along. Like the same with Rovon. When he was enjoying his moment with his son, his woman walked out of bathroom wiping face with towel. He just realized that it's good feeling. Waking up early morning and seeing how intimately your child's dad hold his child. This feeling was missing for long. It's new and rare for you. Jungkook beckoned and mouthed, "Come here." Your movement was light and you climbed on the bed. "Morning." And whisper, pursing your lips, caused you feel little emotional and you covered Jungkook's hand that was around your son. It was first time that your child had received such a serious and gentle card from his father. You had never thought that one day your little being will be able to feel that tenderness and love coming from his father. Although many people doted on him, but it's still not complete compared to father's love. It would never be the same, even he had a mother's love. Child will still crave both parents' affection. It was just that some feelings were irreplaceable. Mother's love and dad's love are different. Did I eat too much? You looked in the mirror and pinched your waist. Your face seems little chubby and belly is little round like a watermelon. You pinched your flesh and began to worry. Will I be fat when I get old? Looking at the mirror, you are in dilemma, whether to diet or eat now. Your phone vibrated and saw your brother's incoming call. You picked up, being a little nervous. "Brother." After meeting him few days ago and getting into argument for household, you both didn't talk much. So now, when he took initiative to call, it felt odd and not right. "Where have you been these days?" His voice was calm that it's almost unable to distinguish whether he's angry or not. I and Roon live with Jungkook now. You tell him the truth. Sarang, you like it that much. It has to be him. You can't forget him even after 6 years. "Brother," he took a deep breath. "Think carefully, then answer me." He says, still with his gentle tone. "Brother, if I can forget, then I wouldn't be with him now." I think it's a best explanation, and I don't think I need to say thing more. When you love someone, no matter how pain that person gives you and hurts you, your heart still chooses him over anything, and you will do anything to be with him. This stubborn hurt will make people suffer. Sokchin sighed. You could hear his helplessness. For you who are going to develop relationship soon with the one you wanted, it had to be said quickly and clearly. Although it made him sad, at least he won't hope and convince you again. There was a dead silence between siblings. He didn't speak and you were not in hurry since he didn't hang up. You waited patiently in peace. If today both of you couldn't sort out things, then maybe in the future it would be awkward to face each other. Thinking, Sokchin sighed helplessly again and spoke after a long silence. Did you guys contact the wedding planner? If not, then I will ask about it. You thought you had misheard it, brother? Are not you guys planning to hold wedding? Did he mean that he agreed? You were so excited. Yes, Jungkook is arranging everything. He personally wanted to do with his own. I'm more surprised that you would agree so quickly. What else? You are my only sister, and if you wanted to be with him, then how dare I not accept it? Do you really think that I would let you stay alone for the rest of your life? Maybe Jungkook's words wake him up. He had been alone for the rest of his life and he had gotten used to it, but his sister is different. Being single mother would be definitely hard for one, and Rowoon really need his father to make him happy. You had tested your heart and you couldn't forget that person at all. If you live alone or married someone else, then wouldn't it make you feel wronged? Maybe your wrong person is your right one. So rather than being unhappy and running, why not gamble? Maybe this time result will be different. And this time Jungkook had bet his everything. At that time in the cafe, they had signed paper and all Jungkook's contract. Smiling slightly with somehow choking, making speechless and undeniable, Jungkook transferred all his assets to your name. As long as both got married, then you will be owner of his properties, and if something had happened, you can do anything with it. He will left without single penny. If this wasn't for his mad love, whose man will be so willing to bring all his wealth to a woman like this? At first, Sokchin had an headache why his sister provoked such a troublesome person, but as a brother, he was willing to give chance to make his sister happy to that man. Furthermore, it was not known by his sister that made him take this initiative and accept this relationship. Thank you, my brother. After getting his permission, you were so touched that your nose felt little sour. Sokjin laughed and said with tone that filled with love. You are the daughter of Kim family, and remember that Kim family will be always your backing. No matter when or where, I will never let you suffer alone again. You noted tears in your eyes. Brother, I want you to come first in my wedding day. I will. Brother will be always there for you. You wiped some tears and smiled. After some words, both bid goodbye and hung up. Being able to receive his blessings was the happiest thing in your life. Suddenly, a man embraced you from behind and leaned on your shoulder. Is your brother still resisting our relationship? Even no one gave him permission, no one can stop him. This man was deeply rooted in love. It had been in 6 years. Every day was passing by, but it seems like yesterday. He risked it, everything to get this woman. It's worth it for life. No one can compare his love to this woman, not even his son. Kim Rowoon, it had been a long time since he had been so lively. It had been so many years since the past, and he wanted to reminisce about it. But some memories are still blurred. All that left was a myriad of feeling in his heart. He had already accepted this child long ago. Even he ridiculed and longed for this feeling to be father of your child. He had no one in this world to call his own, but now he have and wanted to make his big family with the women he loved. This child is innocent, and no matter what had happened in the past, Rowoon just knew what he came to his sense that his father was not with them. His mother was the one who always take care of him alone. He had never suspected about his surname, but it seems to Jungkook that calling his son with his surname will be plain to hear. Although his son adopted his maternal surname, Jungkook have no objection about it. After all, his child was well protected under the Kim family, and as a mother, you had taught Rowoon so well to behave, and Jungkook suddenly felt that women who could raise their child by themselves were all very great women. After all, it was not easy to take care alone and be single mom. His mother also had suffered a lot, and he had almost took his father's gene and made another woman suffer. He felt that he was an ungrateful person. He was surprised, disbelieved, shocked, and happy because he had a son. All kinds of emotions filled in his chest. He admitted that he was a little tricky in the past. He wanted to control himself and thought that he could make better choice for him and made this woman stayed by his side on the name of marriage because he was a little unwilling to let that woman leave just like that after being substituted in the name of sisters. He thought that woman was a little petty and being kept secret at that moment. However, he didn't thought there would be a day when the matter would be resolved. When the man and woman finally had their hearts set on each other, it would be a matter of a time before both could blow up below. Time skipped after 2 weeks. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the garden. Flowers were in full bloom, their vibrant colors creating a picture backdrop for the ceremony. Guests were seated, their faces glowing with anticipation and joy. Vine stood at the end of the aisle, her heart pounding with excitement. Her wedding dress flowed elegantly around her, and her eyes sparkled with happiness. As the music began to play, she took a deep breath and started her walk towards Jungkook, who was waiting for her at the altar. Jungkook's eyes never left Vine as she approached. He looked incredibly handsome in his suit, his gaze filled with love and adoration. Beside him stood their son, Rowoon, who was beaming with pride and excitement. He held a small pillow with the wedding rings, his smile lightening up the entire garden. As Vine reached the altar, Jungkook took her hand, squeezing it gently. They exchanged loving glances before turning to face the officiant. The ceremony began with heartfelt vows exchanged, promises of love and commitment renewed. When it was time to exchange rings, Rowoon stepped forward carefully holding out the pillow. Jungkook and Vine each took a ring, sliding them onto each other's fingers with hands that trembled slightly from the overwhelming emotion of the moment. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant declared. You may kiss the bride. Jungkook cupped Vine's face tenderly, leaning in to kiss her. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause as they shared their first kiss as a married couple once again. As they turned to face their guests, Rowoon ran up to them and Jungkook scooped him into his arms. Vine wrapped her arms around both of them. The perfect picture of a happy family, Vine's brother Sokjin stood nearby with a proud smile on his face. He had been a constant support for Vine through all the ups and downs, and seeing her this happy filled him with immense joy. Beside him, Jenny, Vine's best friend, clapped enthusiastically, her eyes glistening with tears of happiness. Yuri stood slightly apart from the crowd, her smile bittersweet. She had once loved Jungkook deeply, but seeing him so happy with Vine and their son, she had accepted her fate. Her smile, though tinged with sadness, was genuine. She wished them nothing but the best. Nearby, Jungkook's cousin Minho and his wife Bhumi were enjoying the celebration with their baby girl. Minho held his daughter in his arms, pointing out the various decorations and guests to her. Bhumi stood beside him, her eyes filled with love for her family. Their baby girl giggled, captivated by the lights and colors around her. The reception that followed was a joyous celebration. Friends and family gathered to celebrate the couple's renewed vows. The air filled with laughter, music, and love. Rovon danced happily with his parents, his laughter ringing out like the sweetest melody. Towards the end of the evening, Wine descended from the dance floor and walked over to Jenny and Sokjin, who were chatting together. She took Jenny's hand and placed it into Sokjin's. Looking at her brother with a mischievous smile, "Brother," Vine said, her eyes twinkling, "now she is your responsibility." Jenny's face turned a lovely shade of pink and she looked down, blushing. Sokjin, equally surprised and delighted, tightened his grip on Jenny's hand, a smile spreading across his face as the night drew to a close. Vine and Jungkook stood together, looking out at their loved ones. They had faced many challenges and overcome them together. Now, with their son by their side and their love stronger than ever, they looked forward to a future filled with happiness and endless love. In that moment, surrounded by those they loved most, including Minho, Bhumi, and their baby girl, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, and that was all that mattered.